Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe, the Believe Sports Network. It is so good to have every single one of you guys joining us. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my two co-hosts, former Buffalo Bills John Fina and Jerry Ostrowski. You can find them on Twitter at John Fina and at Ostrowski_Big O. And we are so excited that you are here with us live right now on Sunday evening and in podcast form. If it's in post on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe Sunday night late, who knows? But please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this presentation, production, I don't know what you want to call it, but please do us a favor. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave us a review, a comment if you can. Tell a friend, bring somebody along with you. We are right smack in the middle of the dead season of the NFL, but we are officially under Jerry Ostrowski days until the season begins. In fact, we are 8 Sundays away from the start of the NFL season. But as I always say, gentlemen, do not wish your summer away. Don't do it. Gentlemen, how are you spending your summers so far?
All I know is, can you get rid of that horn at the beginning of the show? Because I'm 55 now, and it's really alarming to me as an older person, a person that actually can get a AARP card now. It's just, I don't like that horn. It scares me. So
all you're going to do is rile up the comment section in post because of all the guys that come in and like, please make the horn go away.
Can we change the horn, please?
To what?
Yeah, there you go. A little circus horn from a bicycle.
Bling, bling.
There you go.
That's all I asked for.
We'll see.
How are you, John?
We'll see what happens.
I'm working on my lawn. It looks pretty good. Spend a lot of time outdoors hitting golf balls and planning a wedding. So, it's all pretty good. I don't really do any of the wedding planning. I mean, let's be honest, right?
John,
every now and again I get asked a question and then I sort of wander into another room.
John spent his whole day in an apron working on floral arrangements.
Joe, I got to ask, if Fina's working on his lawn, does that mean he has a rake and he's raking the decorative rocks in it?
Stones.
If I remember correctly, John's front yard is nothing but rocks.
And in
backyard.
In true John Fina fashion, who doesn't work out, he wouldn't have like all the spikes, the tines down because they're stones. He'd have it flipped over on the flat side. He'd just be smoothing them out. Like there wouldn't be any real work there. But he would be sweating his proverbial
every now and again too.
He would be sweating his proverbial ass off though, because he is in Arizona in the desert. But so that's how John's spending his summer. I know Jerry and John are both playing a bunch of golf, as am I. But it's been hot here in Buffalo, New York. It's been hot, I think, everywhere. Obviously, there's some parts of the country getting
75.
Hey, listen. Well,
80,
that mountain course we played when you guys were here this morning, Bobcat walked right by me. Awesome. Beautiful Bobcat. And then I had 3 deer.
We could do that instead of the horn.
Meow. Yeah. Meow. I'll send them to you guys. I think I did already.
I saw the Bobcat. He was cute. He looked like somebody's pet though. I think he was somebody's pet. That wasn't a Bobcat.
He's a little bigger than that, man. He's a little bigger. He's about 3 feet high to the back too.
So welcome to everybody in the comment section. And Richard Rush appropriately says third down, because that's what the train horn is. And it's funny because I've had this debate on the Buffalo Bills message board back in the day, and people on Twitter X even today that don't understand the train horn thing. And it's a Southtown thing. If you live in Hamburg or have lived in Hamburg, we've got the massive tracks down here, and you get train horns, at least when I was growing up, all the time. Now they've settled that down a bit as far as how much they can actually blow those horns. But that's where the horns come from. So it's kind of like not a nostalgia, but it's a callback too, right? And the Bills obviously blow the horns, or they do at the stadium on third down. It's been wildly requested for us to remove it. I'll probably remove it now that Jerry is.
It gives me agita. I get agita when I hear that. I have to go get a shot of anisette.
How many letters, John? How many letters, agita?
And put nitroglycerin under my tongue.
6, he said. How many letters are in falafel?
Let's get into the show.
City Slickers reference. I apologize. So before we get into the actual topic of the show, which is our bookend tackles and where they were ranked recently, let's talk first about the AP. The sports writers at AP Associated Press rated Patrick Mahomes, voted the NFL's top quarterback And I just want to give you the top 5 real quick. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. Number 2, Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. Number 3, Joe Burrow at number 3, Cincinnati Bengals. 4, Lamar Jackson. 5, Jalen Hurts, which I think is even a little bit of a whoa there.
Yeah.
Saying about Patrick Mahomes had a career low of 3,928 yards passing and tied for his fewest touchdown passes with 26. But still led the Chiefs to their 3rd straight Super Bowl appearance and 5th in 7 years at starting quarterback. So it sounds like he's getting the nod because of what he has done, not necessarily what he did. Mahomes, who turns 30 in September, has a chance to become only the 4th quarterback to win 4 Super Bowls. He received 2 second-place votes and 1 4th vote, which made him first. That's weird. Josh Allen. Allen led the Buffalo Bills to a 5th straight AFC East title and edged Jackson for the MVP award last season. But Allen and the Bills again were knocked out of the playoffs by Mahomes and the Chiefs, losing in the AFC title game. Allen threw for 3,731 yards, 28 touchdowns, had 6 picks for a 101.4 passer rating. He ran for 531 yards and 12 scores, becoming the first player in the NFL history to have 5 consecutive seasons with at least 40 total touchdowns. Only quarterback in NFL history. Everybody loves that graphic. He got 3 second-place votes, 1 third, and 2 fourths. Who's getting the first-place votes?
Well,
if Mahomes and Allen didn't get a single first-place vote,
I'm sure it's Lamar or it's Joe Burrow, I would imagine.
Yeah, Jackson got 1 second-place vote, 4 thirds, 2 fourths, and a 5th. Burrow, it doesn't say what Burrow got. Oh wait,
where's Baker Mayfield in the conversation? He had an epic year.
Dude, I love Baker Mayfield. No, this is
apparently
Baker Mayfield slander zone.
Apparently,
I'm not slandering.
Nobody gets.
Bo Nix probably got at least a couple of 5th place votes in there.
It's an erroneous list with no first place votes. Anyways, instant reaction: Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Jalen Hurts, gentlemen.
Well, I'll put it this way: there's a show on cable television that's now moving to the 4-letter inside the NBA with Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley. They are Hall of Fame players. Barkley, one of the greatest players in the history of the league. And the other 2 guys have one thing over him. And you could probably say that Barkley is, probably as far as rounded goes, and I'm not just talking about his body structure, the best basketball player on that panel. Shaq did what Shaq did because he was huge. But anyway, they have things over Barkley that he does not have, and that's rings. Shaq's got 4. Kenny's got 1 or 2. And Charles has none. And you think, when you talk about this poll, that's kind of what people are saying. I mean, the guy can have a down year or so with the resume he has in the postseason. And putting Josh at number 2, I don't think is slanderous. While he had an amazing season, and I'm surprised he's at 2. I'm surprised it's not Lamar. And I'm surprised that Burrow's 3rd, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a guy that hasn't been to the Super Bowl and hasn't won a Super Bowl over a guy that's won multiple rings. And until Josh changes that narrative, that's what you're going to have to deal with.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's much like what our conversation is going to look like later, right? You got the top 5 quarterbacks you named. You can close your eyes, shuffle them around, and you really can't have a huge argument about the order later on, except for Hurts. And I'm not sure he belongs in that top 5.
But what did he do, John?
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree. I agree with your premise. Talking about skill set and things of that nature. Right. I mean, I think he runs that offense very well, but he's certainly not a guy who's going to take over the game like Josh Allen does.
I'm with you, 100%.
Mahomes does.
Yes.
So, for me, I'm not chafed by this at all. I think it's actually pretty damn good that he ends up at number 2. Joe, you bring up a decent point saying, well, they're, basing on what Mahomes has done. But yeah, I mean, he just came off an AFC championship. So it's hard to negate that, especially considering I thought the Chiefs tackles were not great. And when you don't have great tackles, you end up relying on a skill set. And he did very well doing that and got them to the Super Bowl.
I feel like when you look at this list, Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl appearance. I'm just going to go Super Bowl appearance. Joe Burrow, Super Bowl appearance. Lamar Jackson has not. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl appearance, right? Wins aside, losses aside. But I feel like of this list, Josh Allen means more to his team as far as must do, like on a Sunday, can't have a bad game, than these other guys. Well, I guess not, because if Joe Burrow has a bad game, they lose, right? So that team can't even hold up. It's just an interesting list to me. I, too, am surprised that Josh Allen got second over Lamar Jackson. I'm actually surprised that Lamar wasn't first and Patrick Mahomes was second, with Josh Allen third, and then the other guys kind of rounding it out there. Jalen Hurts, to me, is a surprise slot there. I don't know who'd you put at 5 instead of Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Baker Mayfield comes into that conversation. Jaden Daniels, just for what he did.
Daniels.
I think when you look at what you were saying, what Jerry has said, what do you mean to your team? And I would argue against what you said earlier. I think Patrick Mahomes is a little closer to Josh Allen in being able to, pull the rabbit out of the hat and carry the team and make magic happen. Little Harry Potter in him.
Jerry, any thoughts? Who you throwing at 5 if you were going to replace Jalen Hurts? Somebody different at 5?
Probably Baker. I think Baker is so underrated. Baker's like I said, this is a no Baker slander zone. I love Baker Mayfield, especially today watching him in the American Century tournament out in Lake Tahoe, shotgunning high noons with the crowd. I'm like, then that even solidifies it more. But yeah, I mean, I think that Baker's one of those guys. Jalen did have a great year. Daniels, he's got to put another one together to continue with that. But I think I think those guys. Jalen though, you gotta. And I told you a million times on the show, if you'd told me he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback, I'd have told you were nuts. Right. But he won it.
Yep, Jaden Daniels is going to be fun to watch this year. The Baker Mayfield, interestingly, made a believer out of one Jay Spence the King. Jay Spence the King has a tweet that'll go down in history as he took a garbage bag, a white one with the orange strap at the top, and wrote Mayfield on it. This was back in the day when he was a Browns quarterback, and said that he had made a joke that he just bought a Baker Mayfield jersey. And Spence has gone back on all that. Like, Spence was like glowing about Baker last year. Like, he has turned his career around. But when you look at if you put Baker at 5, Lamar and Josh, I mean, what a quarterback class 2018 was, right? Super good. So let's transition now into what the topic of this show is about, which is effectively executive and coaches, scouts rank the NFL's top 10 offensive tackles for 2025. This is an article by Jeremy Fowler from ESPN.com. And I'm going to give you the list of top 10. Number 1, Tristan Wirfs, and you can stop me at any time if you want to talk about any of these gentlemen. Number 2, Penei Sewell Tristan Wirfs from the Bucks. Number 2, Penei Sewell from the Lions. Number 3, Lane Johnson from the Eagles. Number 4, Trent Williams from the San Francisco 49ers. Number 5, Jordan Mailata from the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Number 6, Rashawn Slater from the Chargers. Number 7, Laramie Tunsil from the Commanders. Number 8, Deion Dawkins, you already know, from the Buffalo Bills. Number 9, Christian Dorsau from the Minnesota Vikings. And number 10, Andrew Thomas from the New York Giants. And I just want to say that it annoys me when teams like the Colts go from, Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, and the Green Bay Packers go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and teams like the Eagles go from Andrew Peters to, Lane Johnson. It just annoys me when they don't miss a beat, when there's no gap. And I think that annoyance comes from our 17-year gap that we had here in Buffalo.
Boy, you're carrying that grudge, Joe. God love you. That's impressive.
To my grave. So thoughts on this list, gentlemen, before we talk about Spencer Brown, who was an honorable mention, and Deion Dawkins.
Well,
Jerry,
go ahead, Joe. Or John. Go ahead.
I would say it's like I mentioned before, the top 5, it's kind of inarguable, all the way down to Jordan Mailata. Those guys, they are in that top 5. Slate them wherever you want. I don't care. I mean, we're splitting hairs. I don't really know a lot about Rashawn Slater with the Chargers. Laramie Tunsil, I've had my doubts about him over the years, just some of the type of play that he's had, where struggled with injuries, and sometimes on the field he just doesn't look sharp to me. And so I look at the back half of the list, and you could, it's kind of like close your eyes and pick a name out of a hat. And I think it's stacked up appropriately. I do see Deion in front of Tunsil. Again, I don't know Slater very well, so I'd swap those two out. And honestly, I don't follow the Giants, and that's a mental health reason. And Christian Darrisaw, I knew he had a great reputation coming out of college. I just haven't followed him closely. But again, I would say Dawkins moves up this list if he has fewer penalties. Now, we have the most 5-man protection in the NFL. So when we throw the ball, we protect with 5 guys more than anybody else. And you are going to get penalties because of that. Half your games are away games. Stadiums are loud. When you're on your own out on an island like that, sometimes you jump the gun, you get that little 5-yarder. So maybe we max protect a little bit more. You cover your guys a little bit less, and he cuts those penalties in half, and he moves up to 5 or 6 or somewhere in that range.
Jer?
I think when you look at Deion, it's telling with what was said about him and kind of piggybacking on what John had to say as well. Technique that he's really good at, that snatch and grab or that snatch and pull technique that he uses. Spencer Brown uses it quite a bit as well, but not as much as Deion does. When you're outside, and John will tell you this, when you're inside playing guard or center, you're protected by people. So you can get away with some of that stuff a lot easier because when the umpire's looking or the guy's looking from the outside in, you're covered up by bodies, right? When you're playing tackle, you're out there on your own. You're by yourself. And then when you go ahead and you run the amount of 5-man protections we have, you're really out there on an island by yourself. Sometimes Deion gets penalties that aren't penalties because he's so good at that snatch and grab and that snatch and pull, the way he gets guys on the ground. And, the game being as fast as it is and umpires having issues and referees having issues with seeing things in time. I mean, it's just not humanly possible for them to decipher all the things they see. I think that's why he gets some of those penalties. But when you look at this write-up about Deion Dawkins, and I agree with John, he's 6 to me. He's not 8, he's 6. But he's 8 for this reason. And what they say about him is this. Dawkins always has been a physical presence. Last year, the Bills saw him put it all together with consistent play in the run and pass. This is the comment. Just very steady, stayed healthy, great leader, an AFC executive said, I've just always liked him. Probably better football makeup than actual talent.
He's a football player, which is what you always say.
He's a football player. He goes out and he's a football player. And it's the same thing that our quarterback runs into with these rankings, okay? What does Josh do? Well, he's outside the box. He's an outlier, right? He's not a prototypical type NFL quarterback. Deion is not a prototypical type left tackle.
No.
When you think about left tackles, and we're looking at one on the screen, and it's not me, and it damn sure ain't you, Joe.
Easy. I could have been.
John was impeccable with his technique and his sets and his hand placement and all of that. That position usually has to be. We talk about it with Deion and the differences between him and Spencer as far as technique goes. His technique is not sound. He messes with his splits. He's a vertical set guy. He does things that are abnormal, but it works for him, and Cromer allows him to do it. And I love the fact that we have a guy that can do those types of things because it makes it harder for defensive linemen because they can't time him up. A lot of times I'll watch film and they'll be like, okay, it's 3 kicks, it's 3 drive catches, and then he said, what Deion does is so different all the time. They can't time that up, which makes him great. I mean, his pressure rate was 7.4. It's the 3rd best amongst left tackles since 2022. The man's getting it done, but they can't put him in a box.
That's right.
It's just like Josh, they can't put him in a box. And when evaluators can't put you in a box and they're like, oh, something must be wrong. Oh, we there's something not right here. And then he gets put 8th. But honestly, he is a top 5 tackle in this league. Now, the guys that are in the top 5 on this list are very, very good players too. You're talking about the cream of the crop. Right. But that to me is why when you hear that comment, probably better football makeup than actual talent, that right away throws up flares and a red flag where like they can put him in that left tackle box. So we got to drop him on the list. So yeah. I'm happy that he's on our team. He's a breath of fresh air. I love the way he plays. I'm wearing my Everybody Knows University hat because I knew we were going to talk about him today. And, hey, 8th, whatever. I think he's a top 5 guy, and he does a tremendous job.
I had the privilege of going to a Saturday walkthrough for the Bills before. I don't remember which game it was,
Ravens.
John. The Ravens game, yeah. And so me, John, myself, John McKenna, and Bruno were there. And I got to sit there and listen to Bruno, who got introduced to Deion Dawkins. I walked over with Bruno to meet Deion Dawkins, and Deion Dawkins just starting to break the game down to Bruno. And I would love to know from the both of you, because so much about football, when you talk about the combine and you talk about technique and you talk about all of these things that are important, and then you got a guy like Deion Dawkins, and I literally heard him say, and it's funny because Jerry, John, you teach, right? Or you coach at the high school level or did with your boys. Jerry, you teach. And we saw some videos, or I got to see some videos of John's boys with you. And I remember Deion specifically saying, none of that like 3-step kick slide stuff matters. Just get to your spot. Know where your spot's got to be and get to your spot. And I was just like, I don't know what John's going to think of this, because Bruno was like, yeah, man, that's right. Just get to the spot. And if you're not doing what the coaches and the executives want you to do, it can effectively change whether or not you're drafted or not. I mean, just interesting thought. John, just your thoughts on Deion saying that to your son. Like, don't think about any of that stuff. And there was a video as well where he was talking to a group of, I think, recruits, where he was like, I just break it down to the simplest form of what it is.
Now, that was that was the OL Masterminds symposium they had this past week, which is basically the O-line equivalent of Tight End University.
Gotcha.
That's when Deion tried to convince everybody that he was a finesse player. And I just laughed. I'm like, whatever, dude. If that's finesse, my God, I'd like to see it when it wasn't finesse.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So, John, thoughts on your son being coached that way? Throw all that stuff out. Just get to your spot.
So here's what I'll say about that. Everybody has to have the basic structure of some technique, right? You have to have a technique that's reliable for you. Now, what I often say to my kids is, you've got the technique, but don't let the technique block your feel for the game, right? Don't be so rigid in how I'm setting that I'm blind to everything that's happening in front of me.
Yep.
So it's undeniable, in my opinion, and Deion still does it properly. He will take the first couple of steps that are reasonable to some basis of his technique. But from there, he's working on that distance and speed and direction of the defensive end, and then he's calculating in his mind, where's the spot I have to get to, the inflection point, right? When am I going to make contact? So wider ends keep dropping. You take those 2 steps, the midline of the helmet's coming down at you. You're going to set, turn, catch, right? And outside arm goes under. Now you got to press, keep them flat. So he is right in that regard. But in my opinion, I would say still take 2 quality steps. You got to have that first set step, and in that second step, you got to find a settle and then relax and be an athlete. Let the feel for the game drive you.
How would you coach him, Jerry?
I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing that he does, and what he does is outside the box, and it works. He talks about getting to the spot, and what the spot is there's an imaginary place in your pass set that you have to get to before the defensive lineman, and it's all predicated upon the width of the defensive end's alignment. So if he's right on your outside shoulder, it's tight. If he's in just a little bit wider, it's a little tighter, but it's a little bit wider. And then if he's in a wide 9, you got to get way out there. And what Deion does different than Spencer Brown, if you watch Spencer Brown, he is getting into what they call a drive catch phase. He's driving off that inside leg, catching with his outside leg, and he's using that drive catch technique to get to that spot. What Deion does a lot of times, and I used it, and Tom Bresnahan taught it to me when I was playing right tackle, is more of a vertical pass set, and he utilizes his width in his split, how far he gets away from the guard. He messes with that constantly to help him get to what John would call his inflection point, or that spot in the pass set. So that's what he does. So it's 2 separate techniques doing the same thing. And it's just, the thing that Deion has that people don't understand, he's such a good athlete. Okay. And we saw it, John and I watched it for years with Ruben. I mean, Ruben would get himself into some crazy body positions and come out of it. And you're like, how the hell did this dude get out of this? But he's so athletic and so talented, he can do that. So he can mess with his splits, because he knows if the guy comes inside, he's athletic enough to shut it off. And, and then also I think that in today's football with the quarterbacks that can run more, you're not seeing it's not like when John and I play tackle, the guy coming off the ball, he had a two-way go. He could go inside or he'd go outside. And if you shut one of those off, then he'd try to bull rush you. But nowadays, with the quarterbacks that can run the ball really well, most of the defense coordinators have their ends contain rushing. So you don't have to worry as much about the inside that you did in the past. So you mix all that together, and you've got a top 10 tackle who, in my estimation, is a top 5 tackle.
Which leads me to my next comment. I think it's kind of criminal that Spencer Brown fell way down into that also receiving votes category. And now totally different tackles. Dion, get to your spot. But what he does is he's so massive up top, he just consumes guys from his shoulders in. Whereas
one of the wider humans I've ever seen. I would agree with that. Just shoulders wise.
But
wide.
Spencer is a little bit more old school, where he's going to dictate the spot, the inflection point, because he drive catch way out there. It's almost like a jump set, regardless if it's 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 16. He's going to dictate the moment when he strikes. He wants to get long on guys. He's not relying on what Dion does, where he consumes them inside. Spencer wants to keep them at that 42-inch distance and then play them out around the outside, get them to widen. Dion will take them in and drop them where they stand. Not to say one's better than the other. They execute their techniques very, very well. They're just extremely different. Maybe if Spencer had fewer than 16 penalties last year, he'd be, above that also receiving votes category. But I certainly think he's already there with respect to, the guys that were in that honorable mention category. I think he should have moved up.
But one thing you're going to get with our tackles, and if you watch, Aaron Cromer did a recent interview on Trench Warfare, which is another content creator that's on YouTube and all that. I think you can check out that interview on YouTube. And he talks about how he wants his tackles to force the bull rush. Get to your spot, win it. You got the outside shut off, inside shut off. Now they've got nothing to do other than to bull rush you. Now, once they bull rush you, get their hands off of you. That's how he fights the bull rush. That's where you're going to see that snatch and grab. You're going to see, Spencer Brown clubs that arm all the time. And the way that's done, you're going to sometimes, we talk about Brown getting penalties. We talk about Dion getting penalties. And a lot of times they're bogus. And I agree. But you're going to get those penalties when you're doing that type of technique where you're forcing a dude to bull rush you, then get hands off of you. If you're pulling them down to the ground, even if it's inside the cylinder, which means inside the shoulder pads, a lot of times these officials have no clue and they'll throw a flag. But, understand that a little bit of what they're taught. I think they're willing to take a few holding penalties outside because of the way they do protect with limited personnel.
For sure.
I think it's interesting as well when you look at just obviously all tackles, offensive linemen, all NFL players for the most part are elite athletes. But you look at what a prototypical body structure is of an offensive lineman. Dion doesn't really fit that left tackle. He's a little bit short, but he is wide. And then you got Spencer Brown, who has to be the slimmest tackle in football. It's just interesting that Cromer has rounded them out to be bookends for this franchise for the NFL. I mean, the Bills clearly rely on them. Go ahead.
But if you look at those two, they look exactly like two that are in the top 5. I mean, Brown looks just like Lane Johnson, and Dion's built like Jordan Mailata. I mean, Jordan Mailata is an enormous. He's even bigger than Dion, if you can imagine that. So, but yeah, I mean, wild. I think it's it is wild, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think in my conversation with Aaron Cromer, what I found to just really enlightening. And I think I have done this when I've coached my boys, but never really put it in the words that he did. He said, I don't want to change you. Like Bresnahan was trying to change Jerry Ostrowski and it wasn't working. What he says is I'm studying my guys. Everybody bends differently. Everybody's got a different ankle bend, a knee bend, hip placement. I'm going to find what they do well and then coach them within that, skill set, instead of try to break them down and make them do something that might not really fit their bend, their strike, and things of that nature.
Right.
Go ahead, Joe. Then I'll say what I was going to say.
No, you're fine. I was going to transition, so you're good.
what I'll say is this, and kind of your opinion, both of you guys. We're so good outside, and then you look at the inside guys. You got Osiris Torrance, who's done well as a second-year player.
Yeah.
Does struggle a little bit with initial speed guys right off the snap, but I think he'll get better. And when he's up for a contract, will probably command top guard NFL money in the league. You got Connor McGovern, who has come in and done a very admirable job at center. And his contract is coming up. And then you got David Edwards, whose contract's coming up, who was kind of a journeyman and a guy that came from the Rams and did win a Super Bowl there. But with the talent we have outside, are we overdoing the fact that we have to figure out a way to pay all these guys inside? I know we'll probably let David Edwards walk, but is what we do and what John just talked about with Cromer and being able to develop guys and seeing who we have on the bench, do we want to give Connor McGovern top center pay in the league, or do we let him walk and bring in Van Pran Granger? Do we want to give Osiris Torrance, $24 million a year, whatever it'll be up? I think right now guard pay for elite guards is $21 million, and you best believe that there'll be a lot of teams out there getting ready to pay him max dollars.
Yep.
Do you draft another guy, or do you have? You know what I'm saying? It's like, are we set enough outside to where now we've got a little bit of play inside?
So I think that both of you would understand, and admit that outside of the fringe player, the ledge, right, the cliff is short and steep as far as for players. And Deion Dawkins being 31 years old, I feel like the Buffalo Bills, there's no way they don't draft a potential prospect left tackle in this next upcoming draft. I feel like, does Deion see another contract, do you think? Can he play? Jason Peters is the exception to the rule. Left tackles don't play effectively till 40.
He's going to see another contract because of the fact that we need cap space, and he's the easiest person right now to redo. So he's going to get redone. Now, whether that's for longevity or whatever, but we'll see. But he will get redone.
So what do you put the onus on, John? Do you put the onus on, to Jerry's points, the outside, the tackles? Do they cover the sins of, not the sins of the middle, but you know what I'm saying? Like, do they make the middle stronger, or do you spend the money in the middle and then I don't even know,
Look, I think the key to this conversation is something that we might not know, right? So you take Alec Anderson, who's been on this team for 3 years now, who has had significant snaps as a tight end and a few snaps here and there as tackle, guard, this and that, a couple center snaps. If you're going to let Edwards walk, he's a very clear option for that left guard position. I think you pay you pay Osiris Torrance, right? And then you look at how's Van Pran Granger coming along at center. Now, I do love Connor McGovern. I think he's done better than admirably. I think he's played extremely well. But it's all really that development conversation. But I think you can't pay both of those guys, the right guard and the center. So I think you have to decide which one is really the most important. Now, if you look at Deion's play, and I would disagree with you, Joe. Some of the guys on that tackle list in the top 10 are, 32 and up. Some are younger. I think Deion has been incredibly healthy. When you look at his body type, I don't see him, knock on wood, as a candidate for injury, soft tissue type injury stuff. You want Osiris Torrance next to Spencer Brown, because I think, those two together are better than worrying about Dawkins having a fresh face at left guard.
Yeah, Lane Johnson's 35, Trent Williams is 36. Those are the only two on the list older than Deion. But to your point, you're not wrong. You could think of guys like, and there's guys that have outlasted.
Slater played for like 38 years.
And what you got to understand about Deion, too, is that Deion's is one of the most athletic tackles in the league. Yeah. So what usually happens with those guys are, even as he ages and maybe loses some athleticism, he's still more athletic than most of the players at his position.
Right.
So, like John said, as long as he stays healthy, I expect Deion to play for quite some time.
Yeah,
I don't
sure.
want to see a Buffalo Bills offensive line without Deion Dawkins on it. Like I think he's chippy. I just love the style. It's
Oh,
funny
that's
because
another thing that's great about our tackles, right?
but it wasn't
just
it
dogs.
wasn't that
Yes.
way. John, you and I would talk on the Off Tackle with John Fina show when Spencer Brown showed up and got into the starting lineup that he was kind of like the attitude motor of that offensive line. And now I don't know where it has kind of come. I'm sure Deion has always had it, but there's a dog in Deion now too, where the two of them on the right and the left side are kind of dictating that kind of attitude for this offensive line. It was great to watch the last couple
All
of
you
weeks.
got to
It's been
do to
fantastic.
bring the dog out of the offensive line is put a running game in place, and they will just mash the shit out of people.
I agree with the Italian on this one.
That's
I agree with
amazing.
the Italian.
So last question before I get us up out of here. Clearly you are not going to say that the Buffalo Bills bookend tackles rank number 1 in the league when you've got the Eagles with 2 players on this list. But where would you rank the Buffalo Bills bookends in Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown in the NFL past number 1? So who do you guys feel, Jerry? Who do you think is above them, and where do you think they kind of slot in?
Who's above the Eagles tackles?
No, the Bills.
No.
So you got
Who's
the Eagles.
Who's the second best pair?
Yeah, Eagles are number 1. Where do the Bills fit in? Are they in like kind of in that?
Well,
range?
probably if I go by these rankings, I would have to say probably a team that's got young players that rank probably above the Bills, maybe, possibly, because I don't totally agree with this rankings. But you got to look at the Chargers, who got Rashawn Slater at 6, and then young John Alt at right tackle, who is also on the honorable mention list of this group. So you got to look at them. You got to look at the Detroit Lions, who got Sewell, but then they also got Taylor Decker, who is a kind of one of those Spencer Brown type of dudes. He just goes out and slaps the hell out of people, and he's physical, and he doesn't look like much, but man, he plays well. Your typical Detroit offensive lineman, if you're going to go by the Dan Campbell blueprint. Right. So I would say probably those two teams, the Chargers with Joe Alt and the guy that's ranked up there, and then also the Lions with Sewell and Decker. They're right along the lines of Buffalo. But I do think the Bills could be ranked much higher in this list, but I get it.
Yep. John?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you got to love the Detroit tackles. Decker is a hell of a football player, and he made it into that honorable mention category. The Chargers, Jerry's absolutely right. Beyond that, I mean, it's really hard, to kind of pick guys out. Tampa Bay, obviously, Gedeke alongside of Wirfs over there. That's a pretty good tandem also. Again, it's the balance of the game that brings out the best of your entire offensive line across the board.
Super good. Super good. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here. Any final thoughts on either the top 5 quarterbacks, the list of top 10 tackles in the NFL, or anything else, Jerry?
No, I'm just curious to see what other Bills we have that show up in the top 100, the NFL top 100, as they slowly trickle that list out. I would expect Deion on that list. I'd expect Christian Benford on that list. Obviously, Josh Allen will be on that list. I'm curious to see if we have anybody else that makes the NFL top 100.
Same. John Fina, same question.
I wouldn't be surprised if Terrell Bernard made that list, frankly. Well, actually, it's kind of late now. He's probably not on it. Okay, here's what I have to say. Mafia Con.
Oh.
Mafia Con.
Will you
Joe
be there,
Miller, John Fina, downtown Buffalo, Seneca Tower, Mafia Con. Bills Mafia, get your tickets. Come on out. See Joe and I, maybe a few other podcasters, who knows, see some active players, get some autographs, buy some memorabilia, probably get some great food, mix and mingle with the other lunatics in Bills Mafia. I can't wait to be there. Can't wait to see you all.
Saturday, July 19th. So this coming Saturday, if you're in, on, or around the Buffalo area, come out to Mafia Con. Last year was great. This year is going to be even better because it'll be air conditioned, unlike last year. Last year it was sweltering in that building. That's why I didn't come. It said the Arizona desert dude. This has been the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show. Tomorrow, the Salins Off Tackle with John Fina show will be again. We're going to be talking about Elijah Moore, as John's going to break down some film on Elijah Moore. Wednesday, the Big O Show with Jerry Ostrowski, who's sitting right there next to me. And then we're going to be bringing back On the Beat relatively soon. And then we're still working on something for Thursday evening show, but we'll figure that out. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by the Believe Sports Network. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We are 8 weeks away from the official start of the NFL season for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, training camp is right around the corner. But man, I can't wait. We can't get there soon enough. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.
Go Bills.